is Yuri Kasdorp. We're back for week 4 of the GT3 Sprint Series. And we are here at Daytona. Back in a lovely Porsche. So it's a pretty good option here. Tricky track, even though it's only a couple corners. We'll go into the details on how to exactly drive fast here, get the most out of the car. Always a really good week to race. We're getting close to the Daytona 24. So if you're driving GT3, definitely a good week to practice for the 24 hours coming up. Without further ado, let's get into the lap guide. Driving that Porsche. And even though it's on a couple of corners this track, really tricky to get a really good lap in. And the reason for that is that we're running a very low wing. These very long straights here, we want taking off all the rear downforce that we can handle. So that does mean that the rear is quite tricky in some corners. Driving the Porsche, because the Porsche has a stable rear end, good traction, maybe lacks a bit of torque, but we can run quite low wing. And the top end of the car is pretty good to do with it. Turn 1, we want to be running to the outside, like just after the white line. And then aim for the inside tires, just about miss those. And that means that you always end up with a decent exit. All the way to the outside for turn 2. I like to go to first and then short shift to second. Turn 3, I want to open up all the way from the left side here. We don't like the cones on the right side here, so we're gonna hit those. Like to set up for a good exit. And then we're gonna be benefiting of running that low rear wing. And then we just have the bus stop left. It's always tricky with the low rear wing, so we want to be running smooth on our inputs. Smooth line through there. Braking just before the one. And then we got the big run up to turn 1 left. Again, we trimmed down all the downforce from the car. Means we got a good run, good top speed, and we're going to be benefiting of surviving the bus stop on one lap. With the top speed we're getting now. That's a lap around Daytona. Right, so here we go for a more in-depth look. Because it's only a couple corners. The devil's in the details, and very small tricks around the track here will help you gain that last bit of time. Turn 1 here, we want to be braking as much in a straight line as we can, because it's a curve all the way to the apex. So what that means, we want to be running all the way to the right side, as close to the wall as you can here. Turn the latest moment you can, and then brake at the end of this point of the white line here. And then we want to be braking as much in a straight line as we can to the outside of the track. So we want to be ending up on the outside of the track here, and from this point here, we want to aim at the tire wall on the inside. So we don't look at this, we aim at the tires, and then the car will understeer a bit the first bit here, because the camber of the track runs a bit like this, which makes the car understeer a bit. We slightly miss the tires here, but because we aim for the tires just after the tires, we want to follow the curvature of the track here on the inside, and that allows us to go on throttle without losing the rear. Turn 2, we want to open up as much as we can, and I use the cones on the inside as brake marker. So from here, the cones on the inside I use as a brake marker. We're still quite a bit away from that, but that's what I use as the brake marker here. And down to first gear, get the rotation going, and then I short shift to second gear because the exit is too long to keep it in first, so I upshift to second gear just before I go on throttle. And I get a good exit from the corner. You want to run all the way to the outside curb. Then in the kink, we have plenty of downforce on to keep the car to the left side. We don't need to use all the track here. I want to keep it to the left side to get as close to the cones as we can here. And as you can see, already turning a tiny bit here before going properly on the brakes. I want to have the car straightened up and pointed towards this as much as I can when I start braking. I start braking around the middle of the cones here. Then brake in a straight line. I don't want to hug the inside completely. I want to be at the point where I start turning in around the middle of the track here. And then from here, we want to start turning in, and we kind of use this as our apex here and not the curb here. We want to get going and get the car turned so that by the time we get to the curb here, you see the curvature of the curb. By the time when it's at its tightest, we want to get to the curb, and then we want to follow the curb for the exit to the end. The reason for that is if we get to the curb here and we follow this, we either have to take the curvature of the curb completely, which is too tight, or we're gonna run wide in the exit and lose a lot of time on the corner exit. So we want to kind of aim for an imaginary curb here in the middle. And I'll show you in full speed one time from the cockpit car, this looks like. So we brake middle of the curbs. We try to have a curb on the inside here, and then we get to the inside, and then follow the curb on the exit. Then for the corner onto the oval, we want to open this up as much as we can. The only issue is that there's cones in the way here. We don't like those cones. Those cones did something wrong to someone. So we want to hit them. Every single lap we want to hit them. They're not nice cones, so we want to run, especially this one, to run over it to make sure that we open up the next corner as much as we can. We can run over this patch of grass a tiny bit here without upsetting the car. And I brake where this patch of grass starts. We want to have a right side tires on this yellow curb on the right side here to open up the corner as much as we can. And open this up as much as we can. Get the car rotated. In the LMP2, you see sometimes running the wide line. So running a lot of speed on entry and running wide. GT3, I like to have the car stopped at the apex, get the car rotated mostly by here, and keeping it tight and straightening up the exit so we can be flat out here already. And then get a lot of speed onto the first part of the oval. I got the first part of the oval, you can skip that. We just run a low line, obviously. And then we get to the trickiest part of the track by far. So this is where I wanted to spend quite a lot of time on, the bus stop. And this corner would normally not be that tricky, except as I talked about in the Hotlap, we took away all the rearing. That means that too much braking while turning here, or too much steering input, or too much any input, throttle as well, will make the rear step out. So what we want to do, we want to follow the right side wall again, brake like about 20 meters before the one, and then downshift slowly. You can see the rear already get a bit unsettled here. A tiny bit of brake or no brake while you're turning here. You want to have the left side tires as close to the grass here as you can. Keep it straightened out. Tiny tap on the brake here before getting to the second apex, the right-hander. Again, we want to be running close to the grass here at the end because we want to run as little of a curve as possible here. Want to keep it tight in the middle. And as you can see, tiny tap on the brake on the direction change, but no input here at all. Then middle of the track here, as you can see, we're running it very tight. We slowly start to build up the throttle. If you build up the throttle too early here, the rear can very easily step out. We want to aim with the right side tires for this edge of the white line there. Slowly building up the throttle again. Not much steering input here either, because if you have too much steering input, the rear will step out, not the front. We're rear limited here. And then slowly make it over to the left side here. And we can run 2 tires over the grass here. The limit is that the middle of the car needs to be on the curb. And that's the way we take the corners. So we want to make sure that we're not braking too much on the entry here. From close to the wall as you can, not braking too much. Low inputs here, low steering inputs, low brake inputs. Tiny tap on the brake. Again, very slow steering input here. Keep the car tight and then slowly building up the throttle. Keeping it tight here as well. and then just about clipping the grass a bit on the left side there. And that way we keep the rear stable, and it's quite tricky with low rear wing, but if you manage that, the reward will come all the way from here to the finish line, and this straight is so long that any click of rear wing that we can take off will be paid back double this whole run up to turn 1 again. And that's the lap around Daytona. So there we go. Deceptively hard track, I think, because the setup kind of requires you to be on the edge the whole time. Really, really rewarding if you get the hang of it, though. The racing is always really good here, very strategic. Wish everyone good luck if you're racing this week. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and see you all next week.